Welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It's your girl, Coach K. Thank y'all for tuning in. Before I get started, make sure you have subscribed to Upgraded Mindsets Media on YouTube. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, then make the Woman's Hustle one of your favorites as well. I appreciate the feedback, all of the amazing ladies that we've had here on the Woman's Hustle. And today is going to be no different. I have a lovely guest with me. I'm super excited to dive in, but I'm going to allow her the honors of introducing herself. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Me as well. Please let the listeners know who you are and what you do.
Amazing. My name is Erica Carrico, and I am a life purpose and business coach. So I help women to discover their life purpose and then
Mm,
profit from it. So I have a program that helps them build to six figures. And then for those that have the desire to go past that, to scale on to seven figures and beyond.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Anytime I hear the word purpose, my ears perk
Yeah.
instantly
Yeah.
because it's so important for us to really step into that. And I love that I can dive into some great conversation with someone who is on that mission as well when it comes to empowering us women. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Thanks for
So
having me.
I want to know a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are now, helping people
Yeah.
soul align their missions.
Yes. Well, they say we teach what we need to learn.
Facts. Ooh, that's a fact.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the whole irony is I was a purpose seeker from the time that I was born. And it was like, what is
Mm,
my purpose here? Why am I here? What
yeah.
is my work that I'm supposed to be doing here? And I always felt like a misfit and was always sort of the black sheep in my family and didn't want to do the whole traditional 9 to 5, didn't want to settle down and have a corporate career, didn't even know if I really wanted to get married. And, I was just like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I know I'm here for something different, but I don't know what that is. And so, yeah, I really struggled with, I think my whole is really of like, society's expectations of you to be productive, to get a job, to create quote unquote security for yourself, to
Yes.
get married, to have a family, to have kids. And I really struggled with that. And then it was almost like this other side of me was like, I just want to travel the world and I want to see the world and I want to live from my heart. And I don't want to be stuck behind a desk and I
I
don't want to be
love
trapped
it.
in a career. And I think, the irony is I let fear win for
Yeah.
the majority of my 20s and 30s and ended up in a corporate career. And I started out as corporate recruitment. So I figured, if I can't figure out what I want to do, I'm going to help other people
Help
find
others.
jobs and figure out what they want to do. So I did that for a while and I just got really burnt out. I was actually living in Australia because I thought, well, I might as well do this someplace fun. If I'm going to be in corporate, I might as well be
Right.
someplace fun. So I was living in Australia and living on Bondi Beach and, earning a lot of money. And everybody kind of thought that I was living this dream. And behind the scenes, I was so depressed
Mm,
and so anxious and waking up every day, putting my feet on the floor, feeling like Groundhog Day, wondering what I'm doing with my life. Why am I here building a company, building millions of dollars for a company that has millions of dollars and working for the man? And I hit a rock bottom, I suppose. And, I definitely hit burnout. And I think I was like 30 at the time. And I went
mm.
and saw a life coach. And the life coach, I'd asked actually for anxiety medication. And the life coach was like, she was like, I don't think that you should go on any medication. I think you need to figure your life out, actually. And that was kind of a turning point for me. And I quit my job and I went traveling for a year. And long story short, I ended up going into the not-for-profit industry because again, I felt like I wanted to start my own business. I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to move into the coaching space, but my parents and I was getting married and we were getting ready to start a family and everyone kept telling me you need to get a real job. You cannot start your own business right now. And so I did the safe thing and went out and took a $60,000 loan to get a master's degree to move
Mm.
into the not-for-profit industry and took a six-figure pay cut and I thought that that was like safe and rather than starting my own business. So fast forward 5 years later, I'm
Ooh.
in a marriage. My marriage is kind of struggling. I'm unhappy in the not-for-profit industry. I have a baby, I have a toddler, I'm exhausted, and I'm diagnosed with kidney cancer. And at
Mm.
that point, it was like, okay, what I have got to start listening to myself. I
Yes,
have
sir.
so much inside of me that I want to share with the world. I have my own medicine and my own gifts that I'm here to share with the world. I have a
Come
purpose to
on.
live and I am not doing it. And my life is literally killing me. It's literally killing me. And I have to change. And that was literally when my commitment to really exploring and stepping into my purpose and what my medicine is here on earth.
Y'all, let me tell you something. The goosebumps that are on my arms right now, man, first of all, let me just say, congratulations on overcoming cancer as a
Thank
fellow
you.
cancer survivor. Like, that is like, I always love to hear success stories when it comes to that.
Same.
But I really appreciate your vulnerability right now. I thank you so much for that. But I also like the fact that you said that you were tired, right?
Yeah.
There were so many things that you touched on, and we see it, in the spaces when it's coming to who we serve, because there's a lot of women who feel like that they're just supposed to go with what society tells them to do, and a lot of women who don't even know where their purpose is or what purpose even is definitively, because they're just in default mode. And
And
that was me.
survival. Yeah.
Yep, that was me so much. And just really being able to step into that unapologetically, because with all of that story you told, I heard a woman that was building up her resilience. I heard a woman that was like, hey, I'm about to do what I want to do regardless of what you say, and I'm about to do it with grace, and I'm about to help others do the same thing. I think
Yeah.
that that's just amazing.
Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's
I
been a
got the
journey.
chills. Like, I love a quote that you kind of talk about a little bit, whether it's on your platform or just speaking, but it's healing while hustling. And it's really something that I think people think that we have to do one or the other. And the importance of putting those two together, I think, is so critical. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I think I have, there's a lot of women. So I help a lot of women leave their jobs. I help a lot of women to start side hustles or
Yeah.
hobbies that turn into businesses. And what I hear all the time is, I'm not ready yet because I'm getting divorced, or I'm not ready yet because I have this illness that I'm trying to work through. I'm not ready
Yeah.
yet because I have this chronic pain. Or I'm not ready yet because I have XYZ. I'm not happy in my career, right? But it's like when you really figure out what your purpose is and when you can step into that fully, to me, that was the path of healing.
Yeah.
Doing my work here and sharing my medicine finally was what truly healed me and continues to heal me. And it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah. And the other really cool thing is when we're building our businesses from a place of rawness and vulnerability and
Yes.
surrender and on our knees of like, God, what is meant to come through me, right? You're building from a place of openness, and you're truly a vessel for what is meant to come through you. And I think it's
Absolutely.
a really incredible place to start and build from that place of brokenness, because you are so raw and vulnerable and surrendered. And it's a very different business that will be built than if you are starting from a place of like, I'm good, I've got all this, like,
Hey, the default. Oh, I'm strong. I'm that strong woman, and I'm this, and yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
It's coming more from the ego at that place as opposed
Woo!
to your heart and soul, right?
Baby, that ego will have you sitting down and not doing anything at all, Like, I love what you said, because it's really important for us to understand that purpose has to drive. Like,
Yes.
purpose has to drive out the gate. I agree with you so much time, because people be like, oh, women will come to me and they'll be like, oh, I want to do this business. And the first thing I'm asking you, well, why?
Right.
And then they can't even answer that. So, okay, so now we need to discuss the why. And sometimes they get discouraged. Oh, you don't want me to do it? No, it's not that I don't want you to do it. I want you to know why you want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm operating in purpose over here. But purpose doesn't mean that there's not going to be obstacles. There's not going to be, things where you got to reroute and restructure and realign. That's not what purpose means. Purpose means that regardless of all of those things, you are still walking the journey that was given to you.
Yes. And you are
So,
not going to quit. You're not going to quit when things get hard because you have a
straight
reason
like
to keep
that.
going.
Straight like that. I'd love to even talk on that. Like, what do you think, like, the biggest myth is when it comes to entrepreneurship and our personal transformation that us as women need to let go of? Because there's a lot of them, but I'd love to hear your insight on that.
Ooh, I think the biggest one is that I feel afraid or I'm afraid or I feel fear and therefore this isn't meant for me. I think people confuse the fear as their intuition,
Yep.
and like what I've learned is that I'm afraid every day. There is something that goes on in my business now. Now probably more than when I was just starting at this level, right? That scares
Yep.
the living heck out of me. And it's
That.
like I am afraid every single day, but I don't allow it to sit in the driver's seat. I let it sit in the passenger seat. And so
Yep.
fear is always there as an entrepreneur. I think
Absolutely.
because as soon as you get comfortable, I mean, something happens, right, to
Yep.
shake you back up and you're afraid again. So I think fear is always there.
Yeah, and it is. And it's going to be because it's really a part of an emotion that we're supposed to embrace, right? Nobody's saying to run from it, but we all know, what's the acronym for it? False evidence appearing real,
Yes. Yep.
right? So, not saying that something couldn't happen, but what you can't do is live your life based off of the what ifs of life. If it's something that you're destined to do and you're desiring and it's you're passionate and purposeful and intentional behind that, hey, it's up to you to take those steps. You've got to still do the work though. A
Yeah.
lot of times I feel like people feel like that everything is supposed to be just a smooth sailing. That's not what that
No.
means, people. There is going to be, but do you understand the amount of strength and the amount of endurance that you embrace once you break through those barriers of fear? One of the obstacles that I see is outside influence. People will say, oh, those close to them, because, we want our family and friends to be our biggest supporters, right? And
That will
sometimes,
probably not happen. Yeah,
there
that
you
is
go.
usually also not the case. It's
Yes.
actually the opposite,
It
I
is
find.
definitely the opposite. Oh, no, for sure. Absolutely. But that's one of the reasons, one of the myths of people wanting that to be their
Right.
biggest support to move forward. And in all actuality, they don't even know what they're doing because they don't have a business. They've never done
Yep.
these things. So you can't rely on those. So I think just some breaking some of these myths and understanding that you've got to step into what it looks like for you. We hear about imposter syndrome all the time as well. People on social media living their best life. And I tell my clients too, I'm not saying some of these people are not living their best life, but some of these people have great marketers. Let's just keep it
1,000,000%. Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Yes.
so, these are just some of the things that, I definitely try to encourage, especially in the startup phase. You've got to be also understanding to know, say, hey, this might not work for me. It worked for them, but this doesn't work for me. And it all aligns with that soul purpose, that soul alignment that, you talk about so much, really us just stepping into that. I just really love the fact you sound so passionate, like about what you speak on and what you talk about. But I also want you to kind of elaborate too on how can we as women entrepreneurs tell when something is purpose driven or if we need to just maybe pause and maybe refocus on those things. And I'd love
Yeah.
for you to share a little insight on that.
Oh my gosh, there's a like I call it the golden ticket.
Mm.
It's a combination of a couple of things. And my book actually just came out, which takes women through the
Oh,
process of
nice.
figuring out, yeah, what their purpose is. So that right now is everything is in there. But the magic combination of what your ideal purpose driven business or career is, if you
Mm.
want to look at it as a career, is a combination of three things. One, what are you naturally good at? So, what are your natural skills? What are you naturally good at? And this can be a
Yeah.
little bit sneaky because most often our natural gifts are not something that we would consider gifts. They're so innate to us that we don't
Yeah.
even consider it a gift. So, a lot of times we have to seek some outside perspective for that one. And two, what do we really love, right? So, what lights us up? What could we do for hours on end? If money weren't a thing, what would you be doing? And then the third thing is how can we combine those two things? So, what we're naturally good at, what our gifts are, with what we really love to do, and how can we combine those two to create impact or value in the world? And that's really when you know there's that alignment there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's hard though, right?
Yeah.
And I'll speak, I'll be vulnerable and say there's many moments where I'm like, is this something that I'm supposed to be doing? And I honestly, when I realized as someone who is a forever lifelong learner now, because I didn't always have that mindset. It's really all about the mindset shifts. 2020 was my transformational year, just realizing, but also understanding that I now wanted to help other women do the same thing. But one of the biggest things that I think that I struggle with is when it's time to pivot. That's
Yes.
when the sense of fear comes in. That's where it's like the uncertainties come in.
Yeah.
And
Same.
now I pick up on that for myself and I'm like, okay, now because I'm feeling these things, what do I need to evaluate? It's time for reflection.
Yep.
Is it a personal reflection? Is
Yep.
it a business move? I have to be, break myself down.
Yep.
Because one thing that I tell people as a coach, you better believe I got a coach, I got a mentor. I can't sit here and tell you to have one and I'm not walking that journey.
Amen.
I'm just like, and then so it's like, but I want us to break that stigma. As women, we will feel like that we have to do everything by ourselves. It doesn't necessarily, although I encourage investing in ourselves, because at the end of the day, if you're wanting to grow and scale on any level, you do have to make those investments. But sometimes it's critical to get into like free communities as well, starting off. We know that sometimes business owners don't have the capital to make those type of investments out the gate. So what are you doing to offset that? Are
Yeah.
you joining some communities, maybe some local entrepreneur community groups or virtual? All of those things are out there. There's a lot of resources out there, but I want us to just get in the mindset of understanding that eventually you are going to have to make that investment. You can't keep making the excuses. I'm even touching on what you said earlier about how I want to do this. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. You're ready. That's just that fear talking for you. But one thing I don't want us to do is take our last breath and know that we were not fulfilled in our life's purpose.
Yeah. I mean, what a tragedy. What an absolute tragedy. That is something. Oh, I read this quote somewhere and I can't remember who talked about it, but there was a study done on people on their deathbeds, and
Mm.
literally the biggest thing that they had the regret was the things that they didn't do. The things
Ooh,
that they wished they would have done
yeah,
and they didn't do. The things that they really wanted to do and they didn't. They let fear stop them. That is something that really hit me, and I don't want to be that person on my deathbed wishing that I
that's a
would have done
fact.
more with my life.
That is a fact. I agree with you 100%. And I swore to myself when I began my personal journey, because my personal journey, unlike you, I had no desire to be an entrepreneur. In 2019, you were like, I was perfectly broke, fine. I was content, but I was unsatisfied, but I was suppressing a lot of that
Right.
because I was in like people pleasing mode and,
Yes.
catering to everybody else's needs. And I felt like somehow that would give me a sense of fulfillment, but it really didn't.
Yeah.
I was happy to be able to help, but at the end of the night, I'm laying across my bed like, what did I just do today? I didn't do
Yeah.
anything for me.
Right.
So to be able to make that complete transformation and to continue to walk that, I know this is purpose aligned for me.
When you're there at night at the end of the day laying across your bed going, "What did I do today?" It's like,
Yep.
that is not why we came here as souls.
It's not. It's not. Ooh, I love that. I love that. That's not why we came here, y'all. What is life supposed to be for you? And I want us to be okay with not letting everybody else be approved of that. Like people, we really try to live life for other people. And I want us to shake that. It's something that we've got to just replace. If you're a business owner and you have something where you're like, I want to bring this out, why do you want to bring it out? What is driving you to do that? Is it because 10 other people are doing it, or is it because it's something that you dream about at night? What's your passion behind that? Like, I think that that's just super important for us also to understand. I would love for you to share like a story, like like a thrill and a spill that, you've come along this entrepreneur journey. A thrill being a high moment, a spill being a low moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I have a thrill and a spill every day. Coach K.
Come on, Erica, talk about it.
Every day I have a
Every
thrill and
day.
a spill.
Every
Yeah.
day.
I mean, I would say the thrill for me was also the spill in kind of an
Mm.
interesting way. So I knew I wanted to take my business next level. I knew I wanted to, hit the elusive $1 million mark. I wanted to have the $100,000 months. I wanted to have the team, and I wanted to have impact. I really wanted to have
Yeah.
impact, and all of that meant supporting me to reach the women that I wanted to reach. Right. I really had like this single vision of like, here's where we're gonna go, and worked really hard, and I got there. It was like March of 2024. I looked at my life and I was like, okay, we're hitting 150,000 a month. I have the team. I have the clients, the amazing clients. I have all of the things. And I did that for about 6 months. And then I
Mhm.
was kind of like, I don't love this. I
Mm.
actually don't. I don't want to be the CEO. I don't want to be managing sales and marketing. I don't want to be worrying about cash flow. This is not why I started my business. I started my business because I wanted to be working with women. I wanted to be teaching. I wanted to be writing books. I wanted to be coaching my clients. I wanted to be course creating. And now there's 200 women inside of a program and I don't know their names. It was like the cosmic joke of getting everything that I wanted and then hating it.
I get
Literally.
it. I get it.
It was like the peak and then the valley, because it was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, everything that I have worked for the last 5 years, this isn't this is not what I want. This isn't
Yeah.
fulfilling me. So what do I do now? And it kind of goes back to that whole deconstruction component of like, I had to really deconstruct me
Yeah.
first, right? I had to let the ego get out of the way,
Come on.
realign again with my purpose, and look at restructuring team, restructuring offers, restructuring my part in the business. And so it was like I feel like I died 1,000 deaths through that process because it was like everything that I thought I wanted wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
I
bizarre.
Ooh, no, but it's true though. Like, I think sometimes when people feel like that we hit certain, marks or maybe goals and on the journey that we're just supposed to stop. Having that growth mindset is doing exactly what you did. You were like, okay, I've got these things, but now I'm in reflection mode and it's like I'm not fulfilled
No.
on this level. I'm grateful
Yep.
because I feel like sometimes people say, "Oh, you should be grateful." I
I
am
know.
grateful. And I don't really classify myself as humble. I don't use that word because it means like low hanging fruit type thing. And I just don't identify with that anymore. I like to break societal standards. And one
Yes.
of those is not calling myself humble or telling
Yes.
my clients that you're not humble. We
Yes.
are empowering, we're uplifting, we're not bare minimum because
Yep.
that's what humble means, the bare minimum. No, we're not that, but also understanding that it's an ongoing journey. That doesn't mean that you were ready to just close everything down, although
No, definitely
if
not.
that was, yeah, but you were
I thought
like,
about it.
hey, yeah, there you go. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love the open mindedness that you have from operating your business, but also saying, I don't want to operate it. I want to do what it is that keeps me purposeful and keeps me
Yes.
aligned with
That's where
my
the
destiny.
purpose.
Yep.
Exactly. It's the
I
purpose
love
and
it.
the destiny piece. It always has to come back to that because when I thought about it, I was like, do I just want to shut this whole thing down? And always the answer was no, I
Yeah.
definitely don't. I want to be, this is why I'm here. I know that I'm here for this. This is why I was put on this earth. And so I wanted to keep going, but it had to be structured differently. I had to be
Mhm.
actually doing the work, not a CEO in management, but actually doing the work. Right.
Yeah.
So the way that but I definitely thought about shutting the whole thing down. And if it weren't my purpose, I probably would have. But it
Yeah.
comes back to purpose. Purpose trumps motivation. Whenever things get really challenging, that's what keeps you going.
It is absolutely, people like, oh, I'm motivated. I'm motivated. Some listen, discipline got to trump that motivation
Yeah.
too, people. Y'all got to make sure that you're disciplined and the old habits that you have acquired, the outdated belief systems and values that you may have even been raised on are not necessarily going to be the things that are going to carry you to that next level.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
absolutely.
so true. I love that so much. Yeah, it's like what got us to this point isn't going to create the new reality in our lives,
Yeah,
right? Like if we want to create a new reality or a new way of living or a new business or a new way of being, we have to take different actions and that's going to
yeah.
require us to think in a different way. So, yeah, it's like if you want to change your life, you can't keep doing the same things over and
I
over.
love it. Say it again. You cannot. You cannot, people. Hey, what's next for you in your mission? Because it sounds like you've done some, pivoting and excelling. But I'd love to know what's coming up next for you. What you got, anything. And please tell us more about that.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's really exciting. The whole thing, the really interesting thing is, as I was looking at the pivot, I started getting a lot of speaking, to fly places and be keynotes. And all of a sudden, they were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll pay for, we'll buy 500 of your books to give to every woman in the event." And it was like, I know. So all these, I know. So as I'm starting to pivot, it's like all this is happening, and I'm like, "Okay,
Yes.
God, I see you." So it's definitely impact for me, and it's bringing someone in to run the business side of things so that I can go and speak and
Yeah,
I can write more books and I can really have the impact of helping women to figure out what their life purpose is, why are they here, and how can they step fully into it. And
I
that's the work
love
that I'm
it.
here to do. So I just
I
have to stay
love it.
focused on that.
Ooh, straight like that, y'all. Listen, purpose is number one. Self care, self love. Once you become purposeful in what you want in life, all of those things are going to align because guess what? You're going to be intentional and actionable on making sure that you do the things that keep you purposeful. I love it.
100%. Yep.
I
You
love it.
you said it.
Yes, I love it. So please let us know where we can find you at on social media.
Yeah. On Instagram, I am Erica Carrico and do a lot of free trainings on there. You can obviously find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. I have a free school group called Soul Business Collective.
Nice.
My website, everything's on my website too. So
Okay.
ericacarrico.com under work with me. And then my book is called Awaken Your Purpose. And that should be out. It's on Amazon right now.
All of those links will be available in the podcast notes. So you will definitely be able to learn more about Erica, possibly grab a book, check out some of her free trainings and things like that. Listen, anytime that I can vibe with a woman that is empowering and uplifting, I am all for it. So I really want to thank you for sharing your expertise, your insight, and just blessing the woman's hustle.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, we are going to get out of here. Let us know what you thought of the episode. We welcome all feedback. Put your comments in the chat. Shoot me an email. If you are interested in being a guest on The Woman's Hustle, then also shoot me an email at info@upgradedmindsets.life. I'll send you a link. We can schedule a chat and talk more about that. All right. Listen, purpose is your number one factor when it comes to elevating yourself on a business note, but also on a personal note. You've got to make sure that you take your last breath knowing that you were satisfied with what you're doing in life. All right. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel, and I'll holler back, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to The Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. We hope you got great value and insight from this episode. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss another. Let us know what you thought of the episode. To learn more about Upgraded Mindset's signature 4P pillars, what we offer, as well as other products and services, visit www.upgradedmindsets.life.